BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season for MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite team. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome to Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, part of the Bleav Network, joined by NFL veteran and Super Bowl 33 participant on the Atlanta Falcons, Ed Smith. I am Javon. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast and tell all fellow Cardinal fans to do the same. You can watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our Bleav socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, my brother?
Man, we made it through another draft, bro. I mean, it's crazy because all the hype leading up to, and after the combine, not a lot to talk about. And, I mean, they just wear it out, bro. Wear it out. Build players up to break them down. Talk about them like dogs. Talk about them like superstars. And then the draft happens, and we get a bomb. We get a bomb right in the middle of the first round, early in the first round. So, obviously we're here to talk about the Cardinals, but good draft. How much of it did you watch? Because I watched the first round, and then after that, I'm a tracker. I just,
yeah, man. I be out there on them trails, dog. You get into that third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I mean, that's for them diehards.
I know some people sit there. You think about those the almost 750,000 people that went out there to Detroit and were just standing there watching. The first round, you get to watch the picks come across the stage. The second, third, fourth through seventh. I mean, you literally just standing out there watching a big board. So I mean,
but did you? Now I'm sure you saw this because I caught this during the first round. I caught a little bit during this. I watched a little bit of the second round as well. But people that are waiting for their team comes up, their team's pick comes up, and then the pick is made. It's Joe Smith, and they look as if I don't know who Joe Smith is, but hey, he's on my team. Yeah, go Joe Smith.
Where'd he go to school? Oh yeah. I'm telling you, bro, those are the diehards, and I love to see them. 40, 50, 6-year-old men out there with all the paint on their face.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how long it takes to do some of that and then even longer to take that stuff off. I would hate to be their wife in the cleaning the bathtub out after that, or getting it all over the sink and stuff like that. That's just crazy. But that's fandom. They call them fanatics for a reason, bro.
This is true, and that's in continuing with that theme. When you're thinking about if you're going to go to the draft, that's one of your destination. If that's on your bucket list, I suppose last year in Vegas would have been the one for me to go to because after they make that first round draft pick, and hopefully they don't trade out of the pick, and I don't know if I'm sticking for all the rest of the rounds, but then I'm going to the casino. I'm going somewhere. I don't know if Detroit would have been on my bucket list to say I must go unless I live really close by, or of course if I was a Detroit Lions fan.
Well, let me toss this out to you. You know where it is next year?
Where is it at?
Green Bay.
Oh, now that's diehard right there.
I mean, you talk about a wasteland. As far as Green Bay is a great sports town.
Yeah.
But other than the Packers, there's nothing else there. I mean, I've been through Wisconsin. I played all the years minor league baseball. I could run through the cities that I went through in Wisconsin. And one of the things about Wisconsin, you was glad to be on the road heading to Illinois or Indiana or something like that because there wasn't nothing to do in Wisconsin. So that's going to be an interesting one. I don't think they're breaking any records next year, but you will see a great turnout for the Packers, obviously, because they're diehards. And then we'll see how many other, fans are willing. Some people might just want to go take a tour of the stadium. I don't know. And it won't be cold. It'll be nice and warm. So we'll see. But that's a tough sell, bro.
Yeah, it is. So let's get into a few things. Want to go over. There's some news that came out about whether or not the team picked up a player's fifth-year option that we'll get to a little bit later. Just going over some of these draft picks, or at least positions that are selected. I want your thoughts on when can you grade a draft again? Because when can you evaluate a draft? Because of course, immediately after a draft is done, you hear the drafts and who won, who lost, and all that stuff. And sometimes you can get an idea just because when you look at based upon what a team needed. and what they did or did not do in the draft, that can help to give you some indication, but you never know how a player is going to perform. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's go over the draft picks. I'll just kind of go through. The Cardinals had what 12 picks in this most recent draft, and so that's a lot. And so that you hope that, if nothing else, a lot of these players stick, not just because you drafted them, but because they are talented enough to make your roster based upon your expectations for performance and also based upon the culture that you've set and all that stuff. But so in round one, so we'll go. So round one, we had Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver. Round one, number 27. We had Darius Robinson, edge from Missouri. Round two, the Cardinals, after they made a trade, they got number 43 pick. They got Max Helton, the cornerback. In third round, they got at number 66. They got Trey Benson, running back from Florida State. Number 71 in the third round was Isaiah Adams, offensive tackle out of Illinois. Another pick in the third round, number 82, was Tip Riemann, tight end out of Illinois. And another pick in the third round, number 90, Elijah Jones, cornerback out of Boston College. Round four, they got, with the 104th pick, they got Dadrion Taylor Demerson, safety out of Texas Tech. Round five, they had, with pick number 138, Xavier Thomas, edge from Clemson. Number 162 in the fifth round was Christian Jones, offensive tackle. And number 191 in the sixth round was Telhan. Good, my brothers out there. Good, no, our people. Tehan Palmer, wide receiver. What the heck? Can you hear that?
Like the sound, or
goodness gracious, what the heck is going on here? Hold on.
Something on your end?
Yeah, something on my end. Interesting. Okay, it's got a ghost in the machine here. All right, so anyway, so with number 6 fit, with round 6, number 191, Tehan Palmer, wide receiver. Round 7, number 226, Jayden Davis, defensive back out of Miami. So, your thoughts on, just in terms of the position groups addressed?
Well, I think they did a really good job. And I'll answer your question, because you asked the question, how soon can you grade a draft? The problem with, like doing it now, and everybody's got their opinions. I'm looking through all the publications. Cardinals came out anywhere from a B to a B plus. Some would say an A minus, because some of the things they did. And what I like is they didn't get cute. They had Marvin Harrison Jr. at the top. They didn't try to finagle anything out of that, move back, get snaked or anything like that. They were like, we're staying at 4, we're picking our man, and then we'll go from there as far as making some other moves and stuff like that. You cannot, Jay, we can throw all these grades and stuff out there. The Cardinals don't even know what they have until they get these young men on the field. Rookie mini camps are coming up. I think May 10th, the Cardinals will be out there. You'll get your first opportunity. Now, you've seen him on tape. You've seen him on the, a lot of these the scouts and everything. They'll tell you a lot of their work is done in film. You can't get to every stadium and see every kid. You can get all the reports. If you're lucky, you'll catch a game, and it might be this kid you're looking at and another one on the other side of the field, So nobody is able to get to see everything. So you're looking at a lot of tape. It looks good on tape. You have them at the combine. It looks good in the combine. You do the interviews. You eventually draft these kids, and if the Cardinals, will be honest with you, they had the 12 picks, right? They probably missed a couple where, dang, this guy was taken right in front of where they wanted, and so they had to not settle, but they would rather have this draft pick, but it went early, so they took this. So it's all a revolving door, right? As soon as they get these kids on the field for the first mini camps, you get your first taste of, okay, that looks pretty good. But you got to remember, it's in no pads. Nobody's hitting anybody. They're learning new offense, so their heads are spinning. You're doing some install and stuff like that. Completely, out of their element. So you take that for what it's worth. Then you have a mini camp with the whole team later on in the month. They finally get a chance to match up with their, contemporaries out there. You can tell some kids are just totally, their minds are swimming. They're intimidated. They're trying to catch up to the speed. And this is your second chance to look and see. when you get to try time to get through the summer, the couple things you learn, you start to watch how kids are studying, how they're retaining stuff, what their worth ethic is in the weight room, because
Right.
they get the reports, from the strength conditioning, man, this dude's a beast. Can't keep him out of there. So you get all this stuff. You're continuing to get information on these kids. You finally get to training camp, and now these are our first this is our first live action, but it's still tempered. This is, we're not going out there and trying to hurt each other, but the speed is turning up a little bit. I know I'm making this a long answer, but
no, you're good.
What I'm trying to say is it all looks good right now. Somebody, the Rams got some teams it's like, wow, they really blew this draft. What you're going to find is the closer we get to the season and these teams get a longer look at these kids, the fit in the organization, at their position. Are they intimidated? Can they, grasp all this information we're giving them? That's when you start to see. For me, I don't grade anything. I can say that they did a good job because they addressed the positions. They got 2 wide receivers out there. They got a couple offensive linemen. For years, Jay, we talked about how the offensive line was just totally just a second thought out here. They went in the 3rd round, they got an offensive lineman. Another one later on. You filled with some edge, defensive linemen, 3 cornerbacks. So they addressed the positions accordingly that they had to, and I would say they did a good job. Now it's a matter of how lucky are they in selecting the right kids to fill those spots. And some of it is luck. Like I said, you can have a guy on your board and you're picked 20 or 220, right? And we're going to get him. And at 219, somebody snakes you. Now you're scrambling. It's like, okay, do we fill that position with the next guy on our list? Or do we go and get best available maybe in another position? So it's all a crapshoot. I like what the Cardinals did. I like that they made some moves later in the rounds, filled some holes that we definitely need to get filled. And it's the next step in their evolution because, we've gone through free agency. This is now their 2nd draft. Now we're going to get a chance as the offseason goes. We'll get the reports of how good these kids either are or aren't. You take that with a grain of salt. We're not going to know anything, Jay, until they start to play real football later this year. So all these drafts, grades, and I give you the golf clap because I'm glad you have that kind of time to go through every pick on every and then grade it out. Good for you. We don't have that kind of time on our hands. We want to see live action, and and we'll get that later this year. But I do applaud the Cardinals with how they approached it and what they came out of in this draft.
Now, one thing I will say, and I've been going to our lads a little bit lately. I like just the way that our lads are set up, and that is not pale, as they say. But looking at the projected depth, at least from the rookies. So if you look at the rookies, from starters, from their draft, from their most recent draft class, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 of those drafted just recently are projected to be starters, and then rotation players, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those draft picks look like they're to be in rotation. So that's it. Sometimes that can be misleading as well, because if I drafted them, I want to play them. I want to see, at least if they're not going to be starting, I need them in the rotation so I know what we got and what we don't got. So that way it's sometimes you hear that term in business, fail fast sometimes, so you can know whether you need to move off or not. Or I would say so where you know where somebody needs to improve or not, because I think and that leads to my next question is time to understand what you have. What's that process like, or in terms of the time necessary? We know that it's really hard for a quarterback to get all the things that are going on because there's that position has so much responsibility. But what's that learning curve like when you're in the NFL, especially if you're coming in as somebody who's never been exposed to the speed and the complexity of the game?
Well, the learning curve, man, I'm telling you, these playbooks are, and I can imagine they're even more dynamic than when I played, because you see all the motions and the different things. The biggest thing for these young cats coming in is there's a way you attack this. First, you got your position. You got to figure out the scheme and your role in while you're out there on the field. Then next comes the terminology. You got to start learning a whole new terminology. And then the speed of the game, you're not even going to get that, Jay, until later in the year, your first taste like you'll get a little bit in a mini camp, but those are unpadded with shells on and a helmet, and they're kind of guiding you through those. There's speed and there's tempo, but there's no physical contact, right? Okay, so you get to training camp, and that's when it gets a little more physical, especially when you invite the other teams in. You do the joint practices. So you're gonna, in the beginning, bro, you walk in the door, they give you your playbook. At least now they give you the tablet, and what they do is they start spoon feeding you. I'll talk from the offensive side of the ball, since that was my side of the ball. That you come in, you get your playbook, and what they did was, okay, today we're going to install 4 running plays. And you would think, okay, well, that's just 4 running plays that I got to know. On those 4 running plays, you might have 16 different variations of how you block them. And you got to start learning the terminology of, okay, if we come out and we get this look and we're trying to run power, me and my tackle, as a tight end, me and my tackle got to work together to get to the next level. If they come out and get this, and the guy shaded a little here, guard and tackle are working together, I got that end on the outside, or I got to slip up inside and get the backer, and our back is kicking out. There's so many different ways that you can run one play. So that's the install. You got to start looking at this stuff. And this is all before you get to live action. And now we throw the audibles and things like that, the hot routes, and the changes of responsibilities. Like as a wide receiver, people think you just get out there and run routes, right? No, you got all these routes and variations. And then if they bring too many, like, okay, razor, they bring too many from the right? And a offense line, we got these 4, but if they bring more, we need you to break hot. You are now our immediately hot route. So you might have a stick 8, but now all of a sudden you see the guy coming off the edge, that turns into immediate quick slant or something like that. These are all the things that you're learning while you're coming in there looking at these playbooks. And the thing about it happens so fast, Jay. Though, you get the install, you go out there, and the good thing about the mini camps, you go out there and it's walkthrough stuff. Okay, we line up, we look. Okay, how would you block this? Let's walk through it. Said hut, and everybody steps and and it's like, no. Remember, if we get in this look, you two got to do this. So you're able to correct it on a slow pace,
right?
And it's almost like going down a hill, Jay. This part of the offseason, you walk, then you get to trotting later on with the mini camps. Everybody comes together. Then when you get the real training camp, you get into a fast-paced run, and then you get to regular season, and it's a full-on sprint against Usain Bolt. So, I mean, it's gradually learning and taking this knowledge in, and being willing. Bill, you got to be aggressive. You're gonna make mistakes. I'd rather have a kid out there running wild and making mistakes than a kid that's out there thinking too much and he's not. He's going. So those are the things you got to get past, and that's why the first thing you're going to start doing next is evaluating how quickly they're absorbing this information. That's a lot of chalk time in the rooms, a lot of film, going through it. And that's when you find out, who's my junkie. Because now kids don't have to worry about going to class. This is now your profession. So I want to see who's staying late in the facility, who's asking for extra tape or not tape. I'm talking like I'm back in the 90s. Who's getting the extra work in with the tablet, stuff like that,
Right.
So it's a lot of evaluation still going on at this time. And it's very important. These guys are now professionals, and you want to see who's going to act professional and who's going to absorb this stuff.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He is Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. You mentioned who's going to act professional. Zaven Collins, how professional will he act? Because his 5th-year option was declined, was not picked up by the Arizona Cardinals, so he'll be an unrestricted free agent after this upcoming season. He is projected to be a starter for the left outside linebackers position. So I think that what they're trying to do is, what's my man? It is Ojulari. They're probably trying to groom him to take his spot, but something like this is one of those holdovers from the previous regime with Steve Keim. So how do you interpret this? Maybe Zaven Collins will stick around, but I mean, it's when you're this, I wonder, are you insulted as a player, or did you see this coming? Because I would imagine if you have a good agent, your agent has prepared you for this as part of that inevitability.
Well, through my baseball career, Jay, I went through all the steps. I was high draft pick with the White Sox. Then that regime left to the Brewers, and I was left with a new regime that came in. And then I was eventually traded to the Brewers, right? And that terminology I use, once a prospect, now a suspect. And that's what happens to Zaven Collins. You mentioned he wasn't a product of this regime. They come in and same thing happened with Simmons. They were like, okay, we don't even know what to do with you, to the point where we're going to trade you. And because we had two, you had Zaven and you had Simmons, two people. We scratched our head when they made, oh yeah, we got two Jacks. Okay, well, everybody out there working with kings and queens and all that kind of stuff. We got, so the Cardinals are looking at Zaven like, okay, show us. Here's what Zaven can do. You go out there and ball out. One, you're now auditioning for 31 other teams out there, right? You're also auditioning for the Cardinals. You go out there and ball out, make yourself, you got them by the stones now because they didn't pick up your fifth-year option. You go out there and have a Pro Bowl season. Now they got to pay you like you've reached that second contract already. So it's all according to what type of player he is, how he goes and approaches this. I think he could have a good year. It all depends on. I say that, and I will admit, sometimes the dice or the cards are stacked against you. They already have in their mind what you are and how they're going to use you, and it sometimes makes it impossible for you to break through that glass ceiling that they have for you.
They see you making some tackles or making some plays, and they say, we had so and so over here that we earmarked. I mean, he's doing some. We see Zaven's doing some things. Let's put him over to the side because we don't know if he's part of our plans anyway. Even if you having a good season, that it could that's one option. I mean, that's human nature. You're trying to make sure that your boy, who you've picked or who you think in your mind is going to be the successor.
Absolutely. And I've dealt with that. I went to other organizations and they had their prospects, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm balling out. But they're drafted players that were precedent over me because they didn't want to look silly by drafting this guy, me coming in there and they promote me. They held me back a few times. And I can honestly say that. And that could happen to Zaven, but at the same time, he's no longer playing. In his mind, he's not playing. He's devoting this season and playing this season for the Cardinals to do the best that he can do. At the same time, he and his agent know we got greener grass out there possibly, but you're not going to get to the promised land unless you go out there and ball out. So do whatever they ask of you, one, no griping and this and that, and then just go lay it all out there. And then when it's all said and done, you might be one of those free agents this coming season because they basically gave you your right to move on. If they pick up the fifth-year option, you're there, yes, but they still haven't given you a long-term contract. They're still holding you back from getting that next contract because he could sign a 3 or 4, 5-year deal after this season because they didn't have him on that fifth-year option. So, I mean, it works both ways. The organization use it to evaluate or move on from a guy. Players should be looking at it like, you know what, that's cool. I'm going to go ahead and do what I got to do. All Cardinals in 2024. But once it's over, especially if you have a great year, you want me to come back? Okay, well, it's going to cost you double. I want 2 monies now. That type of thing.
But here's something else to think about because you want to stay you want to get consistent because that's what we're trying to get to, where he's really consistently good, I guess, because you can be consistently inconsistent as well. Yeah. But here's the thing that I wonder with players, and I think this is human nature as well, is that you're pressing because you want to do so well that you begin to make mistakes because you're pressing too hard because you know that there's a payday out there for you, and you feel that if you miss that tackle, then it's slipping through your hands. You have to be mindful of that.
Yeah. And that's all. It's all a mindset, Jay. At this point, and I'm sure he's had some conversation. Sometimes players, they have the conversations through their agents. A good agent will ask the right questions to find out where exactly are we. We really love Zaven. We just need him to do X, Y, Z. Or, well, he could be in our plans, but we're not quite sure. But they show you by making certain draft picks and stuff like that. Agents know, and they relay it to the player. Good agents, and that way you have your conversations through them to know exactly where you're at. A bad agent doesn't care because you're not high on his list, and you're not just playing blind. I think they like me, but I'm not sure. Maybe I can go talk to my position coach. They're going to tell you everything that you want to hear, hey man, we just need you to work hard, and and we'll see how everything goes. But I need you to do this, that, and the other. But that's the back door. Hey, we're just telling you what you need to hear, type thing.
Yeah.
Good agent finds out, you use that information to your advantage. They like you, they love you, they want to keep you here. You go out and do even more for them. But at the same time, like I said, that this might be it for you in the organization, depending on, like I said, some of the conversations that will be had.
All right. Well, this draft is in the book, so we will see. As again, you mentioned mini camps that are coming up, all the OT, all that stuff is going to be coming up, and so we'll be getting more information there. So this is Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. Make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. When the season is in full swing, we'll be getting you 2 episodes a week, and up until we start to get a little bit more hot and heavy, we'll be hitting you once a week with things that come about. But that is Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams, and as we always like to say, we are presented by Bet Online, and you can